GLoLady TV.
Thank you for watching URTV.
Oh.
You're watching, oh.
No.
Oh. Oh. He was a goober.
Uh-huh. We just never know.
Okay. What idea? To just like, that looks good.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for tuning in to URTV. You're watching GLoLady Live with Shannon, GLoLady, and myself, Jenny Bowen, director of the Faces of Asheville documentary project. Today we'll be discussing the Faces of Asheville project and Asheville issues on a whole. Sound! GLoLady. Asheville, Asheville, Asheville.
Your mics are live.
Executive producers. So, okay.
I hope that you can hear the rolling. Can you hear the rolling?
Okay.
We're just not piping it out to you.
Oh. Peacefully assemble.
Hey, this is GLoLady TV.
It's Friday the 13th.
Happy
Hello.
birthday, Chet! Chet's my son.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, he turned 16 today.
That's an important year.
It is, and he gets to come with me. So pretty soon you guys out there are going to get to see Chet, because he's going to be a fixture around here too. Then they'll get an idea of what's it like in a 16-year-old's mind.
Yeah. I don't want to go back.
I don't want to go back either.
No.
No?
It was fun the first time, but wouldn't want to do it again.
No. But it's always good to be an inspiration to them.
True that. It's
Yeah.
the best of times and it's the worst of times.
And that's going to be fun having Chet on, having Victoria on, and we get some, the thoughts and the ideas of some of the issues that are going on through a 19-year-old and through a 16-year-old, and I think that's important.
I agree with you. I feel it is. Yeah. Man, my hair really feels flat. Sorry, guys.
Oh, and I've got shades on because the lights make my eyes water and then my mascara runs.
Oh, is that your excuse?
Yeah, it is my excuse, but I'm going to get that no-run mascara this week.
Oh, I left my sunglasses out in my van.
I've got another pair.
Oh, well. Incognito. So, Jenny, you have a lot of exciting stuff coming up.
Yeah, it's been about a year since I guess I was on here last.
Well, the last time was when I wore my Easter bunny.
So
it would have to
under.
be, yeah.
Yep, Easter, that's right. It was Good Friday. So Good Friday to Friday the 13th.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been quite an experience. We've been moving forward. Had at the end of it all, some 5,000 images that I had taken of almost 350 very diverse people in Asheville, and with the help of some volunteers, went through and have chosen everybody's best picture so that they can put their best foot forward. And the pictures are probably 85% done. They're not at a full 100% done rate just because this is a pre-exhibit coming up tomorrow night.
Right. The Monday night.
Monday night, sorry.
Okay.
Monday the 16th at the Orange Peel. We're having a pre-exhibit, which is part of why I'm here. And so, anyways, with that, we're going to have a huge community celebration. A lot of the people who were involved wrote letters about what do they like, what do they dislike, what is their story, what brought them to Asheville. And so we have an intern from UNCA who's been helping us as well. And we've gone through those letters, we've deciphered them, we've picked out the major themes, and then we have a total of 15 of those letters being presented at the Faces of Asheville. So it'll kind of comprehensively look
Explain.
at where we are as a community.
Wow, that is so exciting.
It is cool.
Yeah.
And to think of how it has evolved to this point and from where you started from.
Oh, definitely.
Shannon was asking me earlier how I had gotten involved with it. And I can't quite remember exactly if I knew about it before the break-in. I think that I had read something, but I didn't respond until after your break-in.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that actually this morning, about how you can take anything and turn a challenge into an opportunity.
That's it.
It's
attitude.
just all about knowing the perspective of how to look at life and how to approach challenges as opportunities. So yeah, basically what started is in 2007, I was trying to take 100 pictures of people in Asheville, like a minimum of 100. I was doing it out of this tiny little home studio. I'm just gonna kind of cram it into one summer. And I'd finished all but like 3 portrait appointments I had left. And somebody came one night and burglarized the house, in the process destroyed the studio and took the camera and all the photos. And it was just a really, they didn't really do much else to the house. It was like that was the most detrimental thing that they could have done, and that's what they did. Whoever that was, I don't really know.
They never...
No leads, no answers. I mean, there was a whole rash of burglaries in Montford at that time period. It was just kind of a common thing that was happening. A lot of people who were looking for high-tech equipment kind of stuff going through. And so after that, the community, heard about this terrible burglary, and there had been some underground movement as far as people hearing about what I was attempting to do. And it came back with huge support. Everybody helped me raise money at the Lexington Avenue Arts and Fun Festival in that September, and got a grant from the Arts Council, was able to go into the Wedge Studio last February through April and take 336 brand new photos.
Wow.
To add to the 30 that were left that didn't get burglarized.
So there was only 30 that
There was
were
only
left.
30 left out of the originals.
original.
Wow. And you took group pictures too.
Some of them are group photos. Some people specifically wanted to make sure that when people came to get their picture, I said, there's only 2 requirements. You have to somehow consider Asheville your home, and you have to bring something individual about yourself. Now that can be a pose, a stance, an object, a sense of being, whatever it is that you bring with yourself that embodies your individuality, that you're celebrating who you are as yourself within your community. So that was the only requirements I had. And in that process, we had some people who decided they wanted to be part of groups, that they self-identified in groups or with a partner. But on the whole, I tried to get people to come and have an individual portrait, and then I would do a group shot at the very end. Now, for any of you guys who got your group portraits done, those are not going to be at the exhibit on Monday. These are just the individual shots, and the group portraits will come out in June.
Okay. Wow.
That is so cool. And it's like, it's not just about taking photos, and this is, explain that to people too.
Definitely.
I mean, we're all over the world now. Did you know that?
Whom?
We are.
We are.
GLoLady TV.
Fantastic.
Is all over the world. Yeah.
Congratulations.
We have people all over the world who watch us now.
And that's part of the digital age. That's part of the global awareness. And a big part for me as a younger person coming into this era of global understanding and digital renaissance, it's about understanding the local level and the self as a part of the whole macrocosms. And so that's kind of one of the things I tried to attempt to accomplish with the Faces of Asheville project, is to say, celebrate your individuality, embrace this time of global and golden self-expression. Well, not necessarily global, but in America, it's kind of an anything goes as far as self-expression these days.
You're
So
right.
embrace that. Embrace the fact that you have that liberty that not everybody does by any means, and then apply that creative freedom that you have been allotted to the greater goals of your community, to making sure that you enrich the fabric of your life as well as your friends and neighbors. So that's basically, I guess, a short attempt of what I tried to do. And about that perspective of taking people's photos, because photography can be a very invasive act. You're shooting somebody, you're capturing somebody, you're trying to
their essence, their
yeah,
energy.
you really are. And so you have to understand what it is and how that is actually a very intimate experience, and you have to take that with a certain level of respect and understanding in order to get a good picture of somebody.
And you have to be very intuitive, very. I mean, I admire that you're able to do this because you've got to look at somebody and know what they're trying to say by the way they're holding themselves or the way they're not holding themselves.
Yeah, exactly. And as a GLoLady does, you take pictures, so I know that you know how difficult it is sometimes and how you have to have that.
You have to take a bunch
to
get one good one.
Definitely.
I mean, you gotta take a lot.
But when you grab that one,
You know,
you know it.
Yeah.
You know it. And so everybody who came, they were an artist in the fact that they brought themselves as something they wanted to exhibit. How do you want to see yourself? And how do you want to display yourself to others? And so helping people to understand that you can be creative on every level of your life. So,
Wow.
It was interesting because when I was working on the potluck dinner last year, that's when Jenny had decided to also incorporate a type of potluck dinner.
well, what I wanted to do is, after people got their portraits taken last winter, I sent them home with a self-addressed stamped envelope, and the letter said, this is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to document the zeitgeist of Asheville. I'm trying to get a capture of understanding where we are in our present moment. We've had tons of influx of people who have been moving here. We have a lot of people who have been spending the last 30 to 50 years setting up some sort of a sense of community here. And so with taking what we've already established and these new ideas that are coming in from people all over the world who are from places like San Francisco and Portland and Santa Fe and New York and Florida, we want to bring your new ideas into our pre-existing structures and move forward with a cohesive understanding of what it is we want to create in Asheville. What kind of a city and a community do we want for ourselves? And so in sending out this letter, about 200 of the 350 came back to me, which is a really good, surprisingly,
That's pretty
turnaround.
amazing.
Yeah, it really was. So we went through all these letters and we pulled them out. And what we wanted to do is we were originally going to have 6 potlucks where we're going to try and discuss these issues. And that's where we kind of met and we were talking and we had all these ideas. And it never panned out for me, but that's part of the understanding of flexibility and the organic structure of life.
Going with the flow.
And just understanding that, it kind of comes like this. And sometimes you have high peaks of creativity and sometimes you got to let other people contribute their ideas. So over the evolution of what I was trying to get, which is basically discussions about the major issues, challenges, and opportunities that we have before us, what I have, with the help of some other people, some of them from URTV even, we've come together and developed 33 community forums. 33 forums that will start in March and continue all the way through October.
Wow. Oh, that's
So
incredible.
So you're doing like one a week then? Am I right in that?
The
or?
second and fourth Sundays
Okay.
will be at Rosetta's Cafe, and the first, third, and fifth, tentatively, if
there's a fight, okay.
if Firestorm Cafe right now is currently the host of that, it has to be approved by them at their meeting because they're a cooperative business.
Okay.
So they have to give me the final approval on Sunday. But if they do, which it doesn't look like they will prevent me, prevent the community from having these dialogues. Basically, we're going to have anywhere between 2 to 5 or 4 to 5 a month.
Wow.
Over all these months.
That's really fantastic. Now, do you have a guideline for this week is going to be this
Definitely.
discussion?
And we have a tentative schedule, and that's what I brought with me here on my computer. It's a list so I can kind of talk about, well, that's what we're going to discuss on this date. So
cool.
if there's any things that come up today, I'll be like, oh, well, we're actually going to discuss that. We've really tried to break it down so that almost everything gets discussed. The nature of these are based off of kind of an idea of open space technology, which those dialogues allow people to come and connect with others who are interested in similar principles and values that they have.
Okay.
So what we're going to try and do is we're going to pick larger themes, breakout sessions, and when you come, we'll have some sort of a bare presentation by some sort of an expert that can allow us all to kind of come on the same page. And then we'll break into different networking groups to make sure, like, well, I'm interested in local sustainability and community gardens. I want to make sure that we have gardens in all the neighborhoods so that there's an access for people to grow flowers and food to sustain the neighborhood if they need to. Well, you know something about this, and you know something about this, so let's go over here and let's meet for a few minutes, and let's get to know each other, and let's connect, and let's create the goals and the issues that we want to address.
So that's one of the things that you're bringing up about having community gardens.
Oh yeah, that's
like
definitely
so fantastic.
Yeah, like I said, we're like if you name an issue, I can tell you what day it'll be on.
Oh, wow.
So we really came at this, a really good group of thinkers came together from very basic primary research that I had accumulated through the process of the documentary. So it's like I said, it's pretty cohesive and comprehensive.
Well, now how can we find out what's going to be on what days and?
Once Firestorm has approved this on Sunday, at Monday's event, that's when I'm going to make the formal announcement. I'm going to have calendars available for people, and I'm going to be like, spread the word, because the only way that these things are going to succeed is to get people interested, is to get people there. So, and they're in the evenings from 7 to 9 on Fridays and Sundays, every other kind of.
And do we have a website that we can
There
go
will be
to?
a website. There's a Facebook
Okay.
group already, and then there's a website. And right now, if you go to jennybowen.com/calendar.html, that's where you're going to see what I have up so far.
Okay, great.
But it's, like I said, not everything is going to be set in stone until Monday. Once that happens, then I'll be moving forward with full steam.
And so then will people let you know they're coming, or is it just show
It's
up?
just show up.
Show up.
Show up if you're interested. That's the concept.
Have you heard from any of the city officials?
Well, I've invited them all to Monday's event. Some of the people, Dr. Carl Mumpower, councilman, he'll be one of the presenters. He's speaking at the Faces of Asheville. So I know he knows about some of this. And then the other people, like I said, I know Holly Jones will be in there. Robin Cape, Councilwoman Cape, she was a participant in the Faces of Asheville project, so I'm sure that they will be there.
Right.
I've sent an email out to all the other Buncombe County commissioners and people on city council and some of the people in Asheville city government who really, the Downtown Master Plan Committee, the Downtown Commission, and I've invited them all as representatives and leaders of Asheville. You should be in attendance of this and really get an idea for this.
Now, are you for this event for Monday or for this whole?
Well, if you come to the event on Monday, you're going to get to know about all these,
Right.
and that's the most important thing.
Okay, so they really don't know. You haven't
about
put this
these
all
yet.
out yet.
Not until I get it
Okay.
totally formalized. I
Right.
don't want to,
Right.
jump over
Right.
Firestorm's authority before they give it to me.
Right.
But like I said, out of the 10 or 12 co-op owners, more than half have given us an idea that we're going to be able to go forward. So I don't have any hesitation.
I don't know why they would not want to.
No, I don't
really.
think. Yeah, I mean
It
that's
would just
what
be
they're
a
about.
benefit.
It's what they're about. But nonetheless, they are cooperative business. So you just have to work. That's one of the
Right.
things we talk about. It's like how to work with cooperative businesses, how to create sustainable local economy, and how
So
to.
lots of ideas
Yeah.
coming together in group form, and that's the way we fix things and change things.
Well, and this is a time where Asheville really needs the leadership and the understanding and the perspective that this is exponential global change going on around us, and we are not going to sit here unaffected. I mean, we are
You're right.
affected every second. And in this process of the stimulus plan just passed through the House this afternoon.
Oh, it did pass?
Passed through the House, and it's expected to pass through the Senate by the end of the day. With this money that we're going to be having, if you go to the Asheville City website right now, ashevillecity.gov, you're going to see that they're actually asking for people to give us stimulus ideas. What can we ask for in Asheville? How can we build our infrastructure up in this time when infrastructure is what we need to be developing?
Glow-in-the-dark escape route systems. I'm real serious about that.
I've seen bike lanes
this,
like that.
This is a law. This is a law in New York City. International law is considering it. So how many buildings around the world have 7 floors? A lot. how much money is to be made, and that's just for required law. That's not counting schools.
So this is, you're saying like
or
in every single
hospitals.
building we should have
We
an
should-
ordinance that requires some sort of a
Escape
generator
route.
or glow in the dark light
Well,
path.
okay, we're in here. If the lights go out, do you know how to find your way out?
Well, I do, but that's because it's right there. If I was on the 12th floor of the BB&T building and the elevator didn't work, that would be much more of a
we're
concern.
talking, I mean, in complete darkness, because we're sitting here, and then to find our way out, it's like, well, gee whiz, you know, we're tripping over wires and cameras and
Oh, yeah.
everything else, and that's even just to find a door, and then okay,
You gotta try City Hall.
Oh, wow, yeah.
excuse me,
City Hall.
Well, the way the law is now, they have to have a sign above the door. If there's smoke, well, smoke's going to obscure the signs. You're going to be trapped in the World Trade Center. The first bombing took almost 4 hours. They had an escape route system, and that's one of the things that they credit with saving so many lives. It's like if we could manufacture an American-made product, we're going to put people to work. If we have and teach people how to install, we're going to put people to work.
That's right.
Then what do we do with the profit? I myself grew up in Hershey, Pennsylvania. Hershey built the town during the Great Depression.
That's right.
Everybody's had a Hershey chocolate bar, or I don't know how many people haven't. And what he did with that profit and built the town, I see that as a way that we can use the profits and heal the disease and decay in society. You know, doing the self-sufficient farms, you know, when you're going to the organic. You know, where do people go when they're homeless? You know, I mean, there's so many people who could be helped by it. I want to do a share the wealth. I don't know if they call that whatever kind of society that they call it, but well, why can't we share the wealth?
It's about understanding. I've been listening to a lot of great thinkers and philosophers and economists talk about what is this change, this yes we can change that is coming at us. And I went to the inauguration in D.C. and that was...
Did you?
Yeah, you did too, didn't you?
No.
Oh, I thought you did.
It was a thought of.
Because I remember reading your Twitter feed and you saying something about like how bad the traffic was on 695 or something.
No, that
Nope,
must have
it
been
was
somebody else. Another Lisa.
Okay, no worries.
I don't think that we're on Twitter.
You're not
I don't-
GLoLady?
yeah,
Yeah, GLoLady's on Twitter.
Oh,
You're on my
well,
Twitter
yeah.
feed. Okay. You must have been reading somebody else's Twitter.
Yeah.
Oh, what an age.
Well, it was, yeah, really.
How fast
Really?
things
But
change.
how wonderful was that?
Oh, it was incredible. And it really infused the spirit in me of understanding, like, this is the time.
power.
This is the time to really understand, like, the past 8 years have been incredibly frustrating for many people, Americans and the world alike. And in that, you know, it was a time where it was necessary to take notice of your public policy, but it wasn't really an opportunity to get involved because it was like you're fighting against a brick wall the whole time. But
Big
now,
time.
yeah, it's a different perspective. This is a great time period for people to understand that in order for us to be the change we wish in the world, we have to take control of our environment.
And that's a big part.
We.
It's not, you know, what are they going to do for me? It's like, well, they're not going to do, it's what we can do together.
Right.
You know, we can't expect somebody else to come in and fix everything.
We is the most important word in politics, and politics is just the art of understanding your environment and taking control and ownership and responsibility for it. So
Yeah, the we and us.
that's all there really is to it. So yeah, that's basically what we're trying to do, and these lead all the way up until the general election. So that's the hope of, like, you know, we've got an election right now with the
Very
mayor
cool.
and 2 or 3 city council seats. I think it's 3 city council seats. It's Kelly. That's right. So we've got 4 seats coming up, which this is a majority, which means however this election goes, it's going to direct the future of Asheville for the next 4 years.
So
In a
if
big
there's
way.
any leaders that are out there, then this is a very important venue to be aware of.
Right, definitely. Are you
Especially
running,
for the
Christopher?
monk.
Are you running?
Yeah.
Are you running for mayor?
Yeah.
Fantastic. So far, you're the only person I've heard running against Mayor Bellamy.
I hear she may back out.
Why? Just because she would have to run against you?
No, but I hadn't mentioned this, you know, when I ran for city council. City council was just a test run. Now I'm going for the real thing.
Wow.
Well, good for you. You know, I'm all about people if nothing
It's
else,
having the
you're going
guts
to challenge.
stand
Yeah,
up.
it's and it's because right now, yes, Mayor Bellamy is running unopposed, and so she needs a challenge. She there's no reason why anybody should be able to be given that kind of authority and power and leadership without really proving to the community that they deserve it or that the community desires it.
Which reminds me, I'm still calling for a urine test for anybody running for any public office.
And what is the point of that?
Well, you think about it, every job in the world, any job in society you go for,
Yeah.
the employer requires to know whether or not you do drugs. Well,
Right.
as a voter, don't I have the right to know if a person's running for office does drugs or not?
Definitely.
Especially since they're the ones who vote to keep it illegal.
Definitely. I agree with that. And I've spoken with Carl Mumpower actually about this in email because he's the one who first proposed that as an idea when they had the applicant session where Holly Jones moved up to county commissioner, and so they had...
That's bull. I did it Carl, I'm going to get you, Carl. I brought that up at the city council race 2 years ago. So all Carl did was take my idea and say, hey, let's listen to the mom.
Well, that's exactly what public leaders and servants are supposed to do, aren't they? Listen to the people who have the good ideas in the public.
Whoa! Do you hear that, Christopher? He's got a great idea. And see there again, Christopher. A lot of people overlook his potential,
Oh,
or
definitely.
really not even his potential, but overlook who he is because of how he looks.
Right. Exactly.
So much of it's like you with the essence of getting the picture out. But it's like, what is that true essence of the person?
Right.
Unless you talk to the person, it's just a picture.
Exactly. And I know a lot of people who are like, they didn't get a chance to be involved in it the first time, and they want to be involved with it. And there might be a chance where if I can manage the funds, I'll do this again.
To do it again.
There's a potential. There's definitely a potential. I'm never going to say no. But regardless, a lot of people are like, oh, I can't believe you got Brother Christopher's picture. He kind of freaks me out. Well, I'm like, well, he is a freak.
Yeah.
But so are we all.
That's it. That's it.
That's
Yeah.
it's about understanding that every person's a person and looking them in the level of the eye and just acknowledging them as a person. Nobody is necessarily more important or less important than
You got
anybody
it.
else in this
That's
world.
right.
Amen.
The world's
right.
insane. I just acknowledge I'm part of it.
That's right.
Oh, yeah. Well, I had said about talking about, we're talking about criminal and the deal with Michael, the Phelps.
Michael Phelps.
And it's like how South Carolina is filing these charges. And it's like
What charges? There's charges being filed?
there were 8 students arrested in connection with.
Michael Phelps?
Yes.
I thought he was over in England. I thought it was a British tabloid that released the...
That's who released it,
the
but he
bond
was in
photo.
South
He was in-
Carolina at a frat party and
Now they're all being-
doing what kids do.
Well, it's not what kids do. It's what a third of America does.
Okay, well, there
So
you go.
I'm sorry,
Right,
exactly.
right,
It's like if you were
right.
saying, if you were talking in the 1970s, yeah, it's what the kids do. But I'm
Right.
sorry, all the baby boomers who came up through the 60s and 70s, ask anybody out there and they'll probably tell you they've smoked or tried
You got it.
marijuana at least once in their
You got
life.
it.
Or they do now.
Hey, you old fossils out there, just think, you're getting ready to die off. So the laws will get changed. We might have to wait until you go, but
It's a matter of time.
that's it.
It's definitely, it's one of my biggest issues and concerns, to be honest with you.
Oh, it is. Well, look at the money. It's like, why are they doing it? Well, I think it just goes to show, the justification of the criminal justice system, and they're profiting. What is it? They spent $10 billion on war last year just on pot. That's not including the $400 billion in the drug war. And it's like, History Channel had a really good show on, and it was was that History? Anyhow, there's been a lot of really good shows on lately. I think it was Discovery, Marijuana Inc. And they were talking about the laws when they did these laws and how they had gotten it passed. I've got more research that I want to do, but when it was. The person who said this is bad linked it to sex and murder, and it was during the Depression. But one of the reasons in behind it was to stop illegal immigration.
Yeah, it was a lot about...
And yeah,
marijuana was growing as a
As
weed
weed.
in most of
Well,
Kentucky.
that's what it is. It's a
I mean,
weed.
hemp was used commonly.
That's it.
Declaration of Independence is written on hemp. It's a very sustainable, great agricultural crop. It could replace cotton. It could replace, there's a
going.
hemp car
Keep
that
going.
Ford made. And the hemp car, it's made from a molecule that was chemically brought out of the hemp. It's stronger than steel and lighter than plastic.
Wow.
Look at how many industries, if it were legal to manufacture, to really get into your pharmaceutical, there's your big pharma cutting down on Prozac.
Well, I mean, part of the big thing on my concern, when marijuana was first made illegal, it was in the 30s. There's a couple of different areas that kind of lobbied for it. When it really first started to be used as a drug, Americans didn't really use it to smoke. It wasn't common. We were much more into Coca-Cola, cocaine,
Right.
Opiates, heroin.
But it was still a medicinal
It was
in the doctor's.
It definitely
It was in
in
the
the
doctors at the
medicine
turn of the-
healers
right, at the
right
turn
bag.
of the century.
But the Mexican Americans brought it over the border when they started working on the railroads and such. And they started passing it off to the African Americans, the ex-slaves, who started using it for their work endurance, because it does. It can help people, with endurance. It can help with pain. It can help with hunger. And so what happened was it got into the jazz movement, it got into the beat movement, and people started freaking out. And then there was a gentleman named William Randolph Hearst, who's what Citizen Kane is based on, actually. And William Randolph Hearst owned acres and acres and acres of forest land, and he wanted to make money off of paper. So he used the paper lobbyists to really get it through. He used, fear tactic control to get the drug
The
czar.
tax stamp. Did you
The tax
see
stamp,
about that? That they had to have a tax stamp,
Stamp.
but they didn't. There
was none
there's
made.
no tax stamp.
Yeah, I've actually seen one or two on eBay, and they sell for quite a good price.
Really?
Yeah, because they're a rare thing. It's something that you're like, you can sell it if you have a tax stamp.
But it's so sad because that's what a lot of it is. You have your lobbyists, you have, okay, you have a study done, but who is paying to have that study done? Because you have a study done and pretty much you can swing it any way you want it.
The most dangerous part about marijuana is the fact that it's illegal. It's only a gateway drug because it allows people to get into difficult situations that are uncomfortable to begin with, where there's a dealer who has access to harder drugs. A big part of gangs is the money that gets through them, and their bread and butter is marijuana because it is such a commonly used substance by a lot of people. There's no reason why a young adult who gets caught with a joint should be put in jail and labeled as a criminal and have their life destroyed.
Well, here we have 8 kids that are being
Probably
arrested.
expelled.
Right.
Once you get marijuana or any drug conviction on your record, you are no longer allowed to get any financial aid service.
Really?
Which totally destroys your opportunities for having better opportunities and choices
Right.
in the future. Well, that sounds completely ridiculous to me, considering
Well,
how many
considering
people.
alcohol and the effects
Oh,
on marijuana
and smoking.
in comparison, or nicotine.
How dangerous that is.
You got it.
It's a really, and so anyways, if you go out to some of the places out in California and Oregon, the medicinal labs, they will tell you, that's the other dangerous part about marijuana is you don't know what you're getting. You don't know where it came from. You don't know how it was grown. You don't know if it has pesticides that were used to grow it. You don't know if it's organic.
Right.
You don't know if it's local. You
Right.
don't, but regardless, at $50 an eighth, with how many people I know smoking marijuana, just in and I'm not a pothead necessarily. I do say that I hang out with a lot of them. And in that, I see how much money is just going through. And I know that Western North Carolina has the second best bud in the world. I mean, only to California and Amsterdam.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
you can look on you talk to people, there are definitely people who will say that this place is a place where you can definitely affect some major economic change as far as the resourcefulness
If
of hemp.
it were legalized
And
for
if
the
you-
product, if the truth were known, if the facts were known. I mean,
I think
these
facts
the
are
facts.
known. I think facts are known. And President Barack Obama, there's a great organization, there's NORML.
Right.
And then there's another organization which seems to be moving forward with more of the lobbyist issues, which is the Marijuana Policy Project. and they're about medicinal marijuana and not creating criminals of people who have cancer, of people who have chronic illnesses, of people who have, mental anxiety and, need it sometimes to just calm themselves down, to be a functional member of society.
Right.
So, these people are not criminals. They shouldn't be labeled as such. They should not have to live a life in fear. Maybe most of the paranoia from marijuana comes from that.
From that, right.
I definitely think that doesn't
look
help.
at how much money the court systems make by the criminalization of it.
Right, and the police departments too. When a police department confiscates marijuana, they get to keep whatever drug money they find. Now, I think somewhere around $500,000 a year comes into the Asheville Police Department based on drug like money that they have confiscated.
Wow.
Right.
Now, how much of that is marijuana? I
Right.
don't know.
Right.
I asked Officer to explain that, and he didn't have that information at hand at the time. Regardless, what's most important is going forward and really tackling drugs like crack,
Right.
like
Right.
methamphetamines.
Right.
These are the dangerous drugs that we
That's
actually
it.
need to be going after. And if you take marijuana out of that equation, you're going to actually be able to really go after those
Focus
drugs.
on what
Right.
the problem is. Right.
You give the police, you have to make a certain quota. We have to make sure that we have so much in our budget. Let's go bust a bunch of people, that we know will have marijuana to make sure that we can meet our quota. Take that out of there. Allow people the personal choice.
Do you want to have a beer or do you want to have a joint? Well, let me see. If I take this drink, I don't know what I'll do because there's a good chance I'll black out.
I mean, marijuana is not for everybody by any means.
No.
The first time I smoked marijuana, I had the worst experience of my life. I bar none. I thought I was traveling through time and space.
Really?
Thought I was in
Yeah.
the fifth dimension through my television. I was going back to see Abraham Lincoln. It was a terrible time. I never wanted to touch it again.
Yeah.
It was not something that I thought was for me. It's up to personal choice. There are a lot of people out there who use it as a means of keeping themselves creative, keeping themselves low anxiety. My mom just went through breast cancer.
Using it as it should
As
have been, as a
tool,
as a
tool.
Yeah.
And then you can start with actually doing your public awareness projects like don't become a pothead, don't become a stoner, don't become somebody who's an alcoholic.
Right.
That's when you
Right.
actually get to go after that. But if you're just saying, well, it's bad all the time, and kids do it, and they see that it's not bad, you're totally like
You're lying like
you're
Santa
losing all
Claus.
of your authority. You're losing all of your authority and
Yeah.
and trust. The public no longer trusts you. And so, what through the Marijuana Policy Project, Barack Obama has said that he no longer supports DEA raids. Federal raids will no longer happen in states that choose to. It's all about states' rights.
Oh, that's right, because it's like you can have your states, they have it states, but then federal had the big over top of. They were talking about that in California, that even though it was legal, that the federal government
feds were
could
raiding.
still come in and, yeah.
And that's
so
and that's
he changed it?
Yeah, well, he says that he will no longer support or allow DA raids. And actually, 2 days after he was inaugurated, there was a huge federal raid in Southern California on a bunch of medicinal marijuana refineries. And so immediately after that, he said, I do not support this. I'm not going to let the DA to continue doing this. This is not part of my administration. It's about states' rights. It's about what's best for your local community. Asheville, for our local community, we have lost over 70% of our tobacco farms in the past 10 years because of public health policy on tobacco, because of farmers downsizing, because of cost of property going up. We have to understand that in this greater region, Buncombe County, Yancey County, Transylvania County, Henderson County, and Buncombe County, we have to preserve as much of our farmland as possible.
Amen.
That is why it is essential
Amen.
for Asheville to grow as a city and a regional hub, up, not out.
Right.
People who want to come and have, the jobs and the city life, they come in, live compactly, live within this urbanized community that is starting to be redeveloped, and then allow the farmlands to continue to exist. Because if you change your farmland climate, not only, once you develop farmland, is it not ever able to be gotten back to its original state.
Right.
It's pretty much lost forever.
Pretty much polluted.
Yeah, it's pretty much like, destroyed, maybe in 5,000 years, but right now,
For the
what it does is it changes the entire ecosystem. It changes how much pressure, how much moisture we attract. It changes how our water gets stored in our soil. It changes our runoff. It
And
charges.
people can see, I mean, just looking back 30 years, just in this area.
Definitely.
With the change. I mean, not just, with the earth changes, but.
So if you need to be able to have some sort of an industry where people are allowed to create something eco-sustainably, we already have two things here that people are interested in, hemp and medicinal marijuana. Now, Asheville wants to look at tourism. Well, I bet you anything, if you put medicinal marijuana here, I mean, we have a head shop on almost every street in downtown Asheville. It's like having an 800-pound gorilla in the room that we don't want to talk about. Why don't we
And that's
face
it?
it?
Because our elders were taught and related it with the murder, the madness.
Reefer madness!
Because they didn't know. We know what we're taught. Or we don't know what we don't know until we're taught. And sometimes what we're taught isn't the truth.
It isn't always.
So-
and it changes with time.
Right.
It evolves with time,
Right.
And like I said, one of the things about marijuana is it's great to know what you're getting, where it's coming from, and the quality of it. To make sure that you're getting something safe.
Well, how much crime would it cut down on?
Oh, I think it would incredibly cut down on crime so far.
50%?
I can't say that because I can't look at our statistics in front of you and tell you how many of these crimes are related to marijuana.
Okay, what I'm including the crime, I'm including simple possession. Because most of.
Which is just a fine.
Right.
Just to let you know that. In North Carolina, it's just a simple fine, especially here in Asheville.
Oh,
we
is
are
it?
we are
Yeah.
pretty lenient. We're marijuana lenient, but we're not marijuana,
Legal.
liberal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you don't pay the fine, you do the time.
Yep. And I bet you can tell us all about that.
Yeah.
So,
But it is really, I mean, it is an important issue that we need to get out. Is it on your list?
it is. I'll tell you what day
Cool.
that forum is. That's towards the end because I want to talk about victimless crimes and drug policies in general, and then go into the idea of how to. So let's see. Medicinal marijuana and economic hemp will be held Friday, September 18th, at tentatively the Firestorm Cafe in downtown Asheville.
Oh, so wait a minute, Friday 5 or 7 to 9, is that what you said?
7 to 9, September 18th. So I know that's a ways out there, but
Well,
that's
there again, I mean, we're 5 to 7 and that's 7 to 9, so it's something that, I could make your stuff too.
definitely.
I mean,
And-
on the Friday nights, it's like I can always swing in by there and
yeah,
see
and come
what you're
talk about it. And we're gonna, this is about also trying to really shape the future of Asheville through this next general election.
Right.
Allowing people to really say, this is people participatory democracy, and we in Asheville and this populace are not about partisanship. We are not about red versus blue. We're purple. We want to go forward.
Purple royalty?
We want to go forward, and we want to create Asheville as a city that can really start to sustain itself and be a model city for the other cities that are starting to have to go through similar issues. So, we have all the creative inspiration that we can desire here. Now it's just about knowing how to use our resources and our tools and connecting people.
You're doing a great job.
We'll see. We'll see. It only works if people attend and
Oh, I know.
things happen.
I know. I can't do it alone, but we can do it together.
Exactly.
Right.
We is the most important word.
That's it.
Friday nights, I'll be there in spirit since you're at the same time my show is.
Oh, well, just, let people know on the show that it's happening and that you support it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We'll have to get a list of.
Yeah, I'll make sure that this goes out live to
Cool.
everybody once.
because
After
we'll have
Monday,
to- we'll
it'll
have
go
talk
to
about
everybody.
it. We'll have to talk about it.
We're going to
more.
actually have, part of the great thing about this is once this goes through on Monday and it's all official and set in stone, more or less, then the Mountain Express is going to allow us community forums
Oh, cool.
that will be directly, so there'll be a whole Asheville Community Forum series, and then afterwards, so if you can't make an event, or you're at an event and you want to keep the conversation going after 2 hours, you can go to the Mountain Express online forum that will be completely dedicated to that topic.
Oh, wow, that's fantastic.
So everybody can continue to connect digitally, because that's part of understanding this day and era
Right.
is the digital divide has to be bridged and allow people that instant access to information and Self-advancement.
Self-empowerment, yeah.
Self-advancement is what the internet allows people the freedom of education.
I love the internet, but I don't like those who have the ability to undermine your work. Hackers.
Yeah.
That type of. I constantly, and I just, dang, because there really aren't any laws saying, hey, you're not allowed to hack into that person's
Oh, there's
account
definitely
or-
laws against hackers. I mean, like if you get caught hacking, you're going to get in. If you get caught hacking.
And that's the thing. It's like, how do you find who's been, harassing you for years?
Right, and there's always going to be that. I mean, in anything, you're always going to have the people who are just
Right,
trying to
right.
challenge it as much as possible. But that's part of understanding it. I mean, like a lot of people going into city council and Carl Mumpower, a lot of people, when I stand up for Carl, they're like, why? I'm like, because he provides a very important perspective that we have to take into account. If you have a lot of like-minded people, you're not going to get the full perspective. And so
Right.
that's why Carl is very essential.
Well, he's on the ball. He's there. He's willing.
Right.
I mean, you turn around. I don't think it's just for publicity. I think that he actually cares because he's out there doing. He's not
is.
just talking.
He is.
I mean, you see him actively
He's
doing.
he's
He
a
walks the
doer.
walk.
He is a doer.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's some people who I've been a little disappointed with their leadership. Once we put you into this position, we hoped that you were going to actually do something, leading the community, helping us to move forward with our desires and our goals. And it seems like a lot of people are trying to set themselves up more to go on to other things, whether
Right.
it's
It's just a
or
stepping
and even
stone
Carl ran
Right,
for
he
Congress.
does wanna- right,
He ran
right.
for Congress, and there's rumor he may run against Christopher for mayor. But even still, while he was running for Congress, it was all about doing for this local region.
Right.
He
Right.
went out there and he did a really good campaign. So he's to be applauded for that, even though it was almost too principle based. And principles can definitely, you've done the right thing, but you know that you might not win. So
Yeah.
But there again, it's getting it out.
it is.
Because,
If nothing else, you
publicity's a
succeeded
big-
and getting out the
right.
mission.
He at least got his name out there now, and people will
And
pay
hopefully
more
what he
attention
stands
in the
for.
future.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
But these forums just sound incredible to me because you have so many transients here in Asheville. So you're getting ideals from a lot of different communities.
What's worked
and-
in other places.
Yes,
And
and
how
hopefully-
to apply it to what we have. 'Cause
Right, and
every
experience.
situation. Exactly.
Yeah, so that's just incredible to me that you get all those minds together.
Do you want me to kind of go through a real quick
Yeah,
list of
go
some of the
ahead,
things
go
that we're going to
ahead.
be talking about? There's
Did you want to take any phone calls?
we can take phone calls if people have questions.
Ooh,
We can
because
definitely take
we
phone
can,
calls.
Okay, people out there, Shannon's going to hold up the number.
The number is
828.
505 2806 2806.
Yes, and if you have anything you'd like to add or any questions, we'd love to hear from you.
And-
Point that towards camera 3.
Over here.
And if you have any questions with as far as
Boy, that really.
Yeah, that really helps.
if you have any questions after the fact, if you're watching this after Friday the 13th of February 2009, and it's still before November 6th or whenever the election day is, before the last forum, and you want to get in touch with me, my number is 828-423-5673 or 828-ICE-LORD is a good way to remember it.
Ice Lord.
ICE Lord. So we're going to start off with community and bringing it all together and connecting us digitally.
So you're starting right off the bat, March 1st.
March 1st, we're going to go into the understanding of like how to connect people through things like Facebook, through MySpace, through
Oh, cool.
digital understanding, and
Oh,
as
wow.
well as like Mountain Area Information Network, getting
Right.
regional hubs, getting the wireless internet throughout all of downtown Asheville,
wow.
getting it out into the region around us. And then we
So that's one of the things that you're talking
That's
about.
one of the
how
first
to,
things.
how to get. So to do something like that, you have to get sponsors for it. Is that
Not necessarily. I just have to make sure that there is somebody who can speak about it that is an informed person on behalf of that organization or organizations that already pre-existing.
Okay.
As long as there's somebody there that is an automatic connector who knows something about this. It doesn't have to be Wally Bowen himself showing up
Right.
from Maine, but it could be somebody who works there. And they can come and they can speak on behalf of Maine. This is what we do. This is how you can help us. This is how we can move forward. And then talking about things like the Asheville City Government website, that connects people, or talking about Facebook and the bazillion million groups that are on there. There's a group dedicated to saving Burton Street from the I-26 connector. There's an End Homelessness in Asheville Facebook group. Facebook is just one of the things, like, it's totally left MySpace in the dust at this point. So, you know, MySpace on Facebook, my face on Spacebook will probably be the next thing.
My face on Facebook.
But, you know, until that time, that's
Good.
probably one of the best resources that we have as far as getting
To
instant
network.
information. Blogging is another thing. Twittering. The Mountain Express forums, that's another great website, or the Citizen Times forums, which those tend to be a little bit more county folk giving their opinions, but you know, that's okay.
Oh, you mean I have to go in there and rile them up too?
There's some things on there that people say, which I'm like, I can't believe that came out of somebody's brain
Are
sometimes.
you talking about ignorance?
Ignorance and just a negative perspective in
Right.
general.
Yeah.
Just always, everything's negative, no
Yeah.
matter what you say. You could say, tomorrow there's sun, and they're like, damn, liberals,
Yeah.
there's sun tomorrow, you know, like, Oh, well. And then we go into the next session, actually, and this was not planned. The next session after the first one, which was just bringing it together and connecting us digitally. The next one after that, which will be on March the 6th, will be about independent media and how to support things like URTV and WPVM and Maine. And I had planned that before everything had hit the fan, as we
Yeah.
say.
Oh, wow.
So that'll be one of the first discussions that we're having. That's on March the 6th, and we'll see how that goes forward.
Because that's
That's a huge issue right now,
Big
especially with the
time.
Charter Communications last night announcing bankruptcy, and that's where the PEG funds come for things like URTV. This
And
could,
that's public education and government.
and it's self-expression. It's creative ideas.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
people being able to like
To be
access.
honest, this is our
Yeah.
honest, this is, you know, it's not censored, people. I mean, we don't censor things. True, we're not allowed to say certain words. We save the adult things for at night. Every now and then you might get a moonbeam or something like that. It wasn't planned. Honestly, it really wasn't. But yeah, it's really important to have, you know, for the public to have some type of forum where they can speak their mind.
Exactly, and get it out to the masses.
To the masses.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, and if it's obviously something that's way off kilter, the process will internally figure itself out. But we have to understand how to support these things, and we have, you know, the Buncombe County Access Channel and the City Channel, and then the URTV. We might have to look at something where we're combining those funds together to be able to make
Now,
sure that something
would be really
continues.
interesting because I know that they get more funds than URTV.
Oh, I know they
does.
get more funds, and that's because they're city and there's more control. You know,
Yeah.
city, the second you bring in government, you have to understand that there's a sense of control that comes with it. And it's about understanding how to allow the freedom that is necessary in government to allow democracy to continue, to allow those
Right.
principles of liberty that we hold so valuable.
And it's people getting together.
Exactly, and that's what community is. So, you know, nonetheless, having two slideshow channels that occasionally show something like Buncombe County Commissioners or City Council, those are great, but we should also look at, you know, how to really, especially if URTV is being threatened now, we don't need to let this valuable resource.
Oh, URTV is it. This is being filmed live at URTV in Asheville, North Carolina. And Asheville, or URTV, has a public access station, which means that I'm just a person, and I come here and I produce my own show. That's all it means. I mean, I pay.
You're a
to produce.
volunteer.
I don't get paid.
Same with the
to do this.
WPVM people, and the WPVM people over at the 103.5 station are having a heck of a time with it as well, as being volunteers who want good management, who deserve good management, who want, you know, clear transparency to the issues, to how that they can, you know, they are volunteers, but they care, and they're trying to give something back to the community, and there's no reason why, you know, a few people should stand in the way. A few people with ego should stand in the way.
Well, that's usual.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, there's always one apple that gets rotten first.
But, you know, regardless if mob rules, how about that? Mob rules at the
Mob
end of the
rules,
day.
yeah.
That's
So.
right.
Yeah.
But after we go through, you know, indie media and how to support that, we go into how to survive as an artist, the affordability of studios, how to support the
you
arts.
have a lot of fantastic topics.
Public art spaces, busking, murals, and graffiti, how to, re-inspire and renovate neighborhoods through art and expression.
Right.
Recognition, and then we move into spirituality, the recognition of Asheville being considered sacred, people
Right.
feeling like they've been called here, and the question of marketing our spirituality. Is this something, one of the major topics that kept coming up over and over in these letters I was getting back from people was, why is the Chamber of Commerce consistently trying to sell our city to faux pas magazines and lists? These are hoity-toity things that aren't necessarily representational of what we are. A lot of the times you have to buy a spot on the top 10 list of whatever. We want to market what is actually here. So spirituality is something that's a very common theme of understanding that this is a sacred space. And that's, all the way through anthropological times, you will see that people want to feel something special about the place that they live in. The place that they reside in, they want to do ritual. That's just part of human nature, to say that this land is sacred and that they trust it and that they love it and that they believe in it and that they will take care of it as it will take care of them. That's just how humans and the earth have kind of worked for thousands of years. So whether or not there is a giant crystal or an energy vortex or whatnot, I can't say. I don't have the expertise on that. Regardless, what we can understand is that people consider this space, this land, these mountains to be sacred, and thus we need to appreciate that. Now, places like Sedona, Arizona, heavily market themselves in that Asheville, or in that sense of spirituality.
Right.
Is that something that Asheville wants to go down that path, or is that something we choose not to do?
Well, they would be smarter if they did that.
Possibly. I mean, there's some pros and cons on both sides. People will be blissed out, and then you'll have a land of the lotus eater syndrome, where everybody comes here and they want to experience this
Thinking
great
that it's
sense of
going to be
spirituality.
other than it really is.
Yeah, and then they're not necessarily going to plug themselves into actually helping
Right.
uplift the whole community.
Right.
You can get the suckers, and that's a negative thing with legalizing pot as well. If you give people the chance to have medicinal marijuana here and that freedom of personal choice as to whether or not they want to use it, you do risk the issue of having a lot of people deadbeats who are going to be stoning their way through Asheville.
But it's the same with alcohol, though.
Exactly.
You
A
have
lot
to-
of
if
people
you
on the
look at it,
streets,
right,
definitely,
you
and
look at it the same.
definitely.
Right.
So I mean, there's just you have to understand the different levels of the coin.
Right.
So then we go into Easter Sunday. We're going to have one about religious diversity and walking the spiritual talk, talking about being called America's happiest city. Then we'll move into the history of the culture of the Cherokees, and then move into the preservation and celebration of culture and heritage, understanding what former generations have given us here in Asheville, and then move into Appalachian culture and history, understanding the local perspective and understanding how to plug into that, how to be aware of that, how to appreciate that, how to respect that, how to nurture that, and then talking about getting a museum here in Asheville. That was something that people kept bringing up, that it's a void. It's a void that needs to be filled.
That's cool.
So looking at that as a potential. Mother's Day, we start off the family section, which will be about natural birthing and rearing. Should a woman was recently just kicked out of Denny's, asked to leave because she was
nursing.
breastfeeding.
Oh my gosh, I saw that.
Breastfeeding.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry. That's the most healthiest thing that you can possibly do for your baby. If your baby is
The most
hungry,
natural.
it's like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to feed him with Chinese lead-laced, arsenic milk. Let's use what we naturally produce. There's nothing wrong with the human body. There's a
perversion
sacredness of it.
that
Yeah. It's not like the woman's like New Orleans here.
Manufacturers don't want the American public to realize that they're paying for something that's for free.
You mean breast milk?
Yeah, I mean, when you
Some
bottle
mothers
feed
can't
them-
give breast milk. Some mothers, for whatever reason, can't or choose not to.
Right.
That's their personal choice or that's their physical limitation. But regardless, it is the healthiest, most natural way to feed your baby. And if your baby's hungry, well, feed your baby. So
that's it.
So-
And I'll tell you what, breastfeeding is handy. I mean, the whole way around, it has more pluses. Except for when your boobs leak when, the baby cries, I mean, that would be pretty bad sitting in a restaurant and the baby's crying. And next thing you know, you got milk all over the front.
Yeah. I mean, I was watching something on Newer TV a couple days ago, Citizen Speak, is that one of the shows? And so we were watching that at my house, and they were just having a heck of a time about this issue, just talking about, how wrong it was that this woman was breastfeeding feeding her baby, and
No.
yeah, they were really like, you
That
know,
it was wrong
people
for the
were
woman to
people were
feed her?
calling in like, oh, this is allowing women to like be voyeuristic, basically allowing them to be exhibitionists, and that's not true at all. This is
Exhibitionists?
not Mardi Gras. This is Mardi Gras in New Orleans,
Boy, that makes you
regardless.
want to
But
whip out your boob, doesn't it?
But see, that's what happens when a society sexualizes a natural part of the human body.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm sorry, the breast was not meant for sexuality. That was meant to feed the child. And it's our society that sexualizes it to the point that a woman can't breastfeed a child.
Yeah, and that's a shame.
Yeah.
So
that
It's very
it is.
sad.
we're going to talk about, in North Carolina, it's still legal to bare your breasts. That's why we have the topless annual bike
really?
ride, which I've never participated in, but have considered.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So yeah, I mean, that's like people taking the whole thing where your nipples
wait a
can't be
minute.
exposed.
You
but
can be topless.
in North Carolina, it is not
it's
illegal.
it's not illegal to be
For a
topless,
woman to be topless.
But you have a problem, or people have a problem with feeding the baby.
Well, at Denny's, now mind you, Denny's is kind of a conservative-based place to begin with. This is a place that wasn't really seating black people until like 1990 in their restaurants. So you don't remember that lawsuit?
No.
Yeah, there was a huge lawsuit about they were being racist and not seating African American customers who would come to their establishments. So the whole thing, that was Denny's. Do you remember that? It was like I think it was like 90. Golly, if I had the internet. Oh, you know what? I can get it on my phone. I have the internet on my phone.
Christopher, I guess, are you watching that background in there? Because I think that it's coming up on like time to change.
6 o'clock.
Yeah, my phone is ringing.
Okay, so
Oh,
I'll
he
do a
set his
quick
alarm on his phone.
yeah.
Is that what he did?
I don't know, might have.
Okay, I'm changing tape now, so you're not going to be taping it.
Okay. Union, you can get a better bonding at
I'll
at
say
the
that.
Sunday.
Yeah, my family.
So what I have here about Denny's, it says in the early 1990s, Denny's was involved in a series of discrimination lawsuits involving several cases of servers denying or providing inferior service to racial minorities, especially African American customers. So, this was only, 15
Wow.
years ago. I'm not surprised that Denny's asked this woman to leave, but there are places like Firestorm Cafe and Rosetta's that, support that, because that's how our local businesses tend to move.
So downtown, that's like, hey, you can come down and feed your kid.
A lot of people will, and like I said, well, I know that Firestorm Cafe for sure, and I'm sure Rosetta's would as well, because she's a big proponent about,
Natural.
about family and about understanding what it is to be a mom and to how to rear a child and to have access to, to have the freedom to raise your children the way you want to raise them, and that means that you have the freedom to not necessarily have to go to public school, to not necessarily have to go to a major medical hospital to have your baby. It's about having that personal choice,
Right.
and that's the sacredness of what is
And
America.
that they have the choice to do that, and that we have the choice not to look at it if we don't want to see it.
Right, exactly. I mean, normally when an infant is feeding, it's just like tucked in your arm. You
Yes.
can hardly even tell.
It's actually beautiful.
It should be. That's your perspective, but you don't have
But
to.
some people sexualize anything.
Yeah, well, and there's always going to be those people, but
A butt crack.
A butt creek? Is that what you said?
Yeah. Well, I'm afraid if I say crack, I'll be going against the rules, and I might offend somebody.
But so we'll talk about that on Mother's Day, and then we'll move into alternative education, adolescent opportunities for self-advancement and entertainment. That was a big thing with the kids who are in that gray age between like 13, 15. They've just gotten their driver's permit. They can go out or they have their driver's license, but the places that they have available to them downtown are 21 and over clubs and
Right.
bars. What do we have, so that you don't have kids necessarily getting
So
themselves
you're looking
issues.
into starting some type of.
Well, we're going to talk about it. We're going to say what are the opportunities that we have for adolescent advancement and entertainment now, and what are the issues that what could we build for this population statistic.
Right, because it's like, okay, well, they say that most of them sit on the sofa and do nothing, but then
Or they
what's
go
the
outside and do
alternative?
graffiti, right?
Right,
Yeah,
what's
exactly.
the alternative?
So
Yeah.
giving people, giving family-friendly places and adolescent-friendly places to congregate. And then we're going to talk about, like I said, alternative education. As education here in Asheville is actually, we've got a lot of really good schools here in Asheville. Alternative health is what we go into from there. About that is Asheville's primary health care. It seems to be is alternative
Right.
health.
Right.
It's kind of an amazing sort of phenomenon that's happening here as far as like healers being a sense of this is a place to come to heal yourself naturally. This is a place where after searching for 15 years, almost 18 years of chronic health issues, I was finally able to find the doctor that had the answer for me. Just found out this past October that I had this severe gluten allergy that was actually causing, I have an autoimmune disease that is triggered by gluten.
Right.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, I've been to doctors all over the
So
U.S.
that's probably why.
I was having all kinds of problems for a
Yeah.
long time. But so now it takes like 18 months to get your system clean. But regardless, understanding that, you know, there's a natural healing industry here, and what are the options for self-health? You know, what self-health access, whether that, you know, is on the internet or WebMD or, you know, People's Acupuncture Clinic, which is a great place to go because they have a sliding scale acupuncture in West Asheville, and so allowing people that. Then we'll move into mental health issues. Empowering homelessness, LGBTQT, queer. How about that? Queer and civil unions, queer rights.
LBGT.
It's like, what is it? It's lesbian, bi, trans, queer, gay.
Okay.
But queer rights.
Sexual orientation.
Yeah, gender rights and civil unions. We'll talk
that's
about
cool.
that. Connecting to sister cities. The official ones that we have, and like you know, we have no official sister cities, I think, nationally. All of our sister cities, I think, are international. But by sister cities, I also mean cities that are very similar to us, like Portland, Oregon, like Sedona. These places that have a similar trend. How do we connect to them, and how do we find out what they're doing, and how they're dealing with global warming, how they're dealing with the economy, how they're dealing with the exponential change that's happening in the world, and, you know, keeping, again, the digital divide, you know, we can cross it. And then after that, we talk about connecting Asheville, connecting our different corridors, green transit, walking, biking, mass transit, green infrastructure, green development, affordability and accessibility. We have a green apartment complex or a green condo complex going down on Market Street, but those condos are going to cost like $2 million a piece. So, you know, is that really accessible, green living? Is that allowing the common people to like...
Well, there's your, you know, it's not that it isn't accessible, but...
It's not affordable. And that takes away sort of accessibility.
Well, there again, when you're talking about affordable, it's like who is building it and who are they trying to attract. It's not that green is not affordable, because yes, we could affordably, you know, green our homes.
Oh, we could. I mean, and it's just about getting a public service campaign going about teaching people, like, there's very simple ways that you can start to learn how to compost or recycle, you know, really learning how to reuse your rainwater as what you use for your garden, you know, how you can keep your shower water to water your garden. So there's just all those different, and there's tons of people out there. Like, there's a green revolution at our doorstep.
Right.
And we just have to choose to
Just
open
to
the
tap,
door.
right.
Yeah.
Yep, that's all we really have to do. And then we'll talk about access to natural environment, meaning the parkway, but also understanding parks and trees and how essential that is. That makes a happy, healthy community. I mean, you can read tons of happiness and healthy studies about like what makes cultures throughout history seem more well-adjusted, and having direct access consistently to nature, to plants,
How
is
important.
essential to us being humans.
Right.
So I'm talking about getting, you know, some real Arbor Day activities going, as far as like every year, instead of chopping down a tree, get one that you can replant, you know, for Christmas, instead of going out and...
Little steps that make
Yeah.
a huge difference.
Exactly. Then we'll go into green collar jobs and the idea of if we want to grow industry in Asheville, because in recessions you either choose to grow or dissolve. And so Asheville has got a really great group of people that have come together over our recent boom. Let's continue to grow and nurture that, rather than, you know, I've had several friends who have almost had to move or who have moved because of this current clumsy economic structure. And because of that, we have to just look at what can we sustain. You know, we have right now a water surplus down at the Mills River water processing plant, but that's because so many factories closed. factories are huge suckers of water. So yeah, right now we have a surplus for more people to move here. We aren't going to run into terrible situations so long as there's not an
Unless
awful
there were-
drought. But we have to talk about, okay, so we're going to bring industry here.
Right.
What kind of industry? Do we
Yeah.
want to bring tech industry? Do we want to bring, weather industry? Like you were saying, there's tons of ideas that can be spurred. So that's one of the things to talk about. Then we'll move into localvores. How possible is it to be a localvore? Localvore meaning somebody who tries to consume strictly local goods. Local farming, loganics, which is the great term that Paul Van Heeden has come up with, local organic food. Loganics. Isn't that a great
That's cool.
idea?
Yeah, that is.
So I'll give a shout out there to Paul on that. Community gardens and local food access. That is very important. So we'll have a whole thing on that. Then moving into recycling, reusing, reducing, composting, then moving into water quality, air quality, understanding the NOAA here in Asheville, which is a huge federal thing that is just kind of just sitting in the middle of our downtown. I don't know if you know much about the NOAA.
I went there and I tried to get, I can't remember what her name is, she's in my phone, to come in as a guest. Because it's like, in my understanding and my channeling of earth changes, I would like to have a scientific person come in here and say, okay, let's talk.
Yeah, weather is changing.
I
mean, the NOAA downtown knows it is the primary central point for most of the weather configurations
you
for
think they're
much
here?
of the military. I mean, yeah, exactly. It's here.
Yeah.
Colorado and Maryland have the 3 places that are kind of connected, and then there's all these little tiny sub-hubs. So that's that's here. That's a huge thing that
Right.
understands how weather and global warming. I mean, they kind of go hand in hand.
It's not
so
global warming.
well, whatever.
No, it's not just the humans who
It's
have
not.
created what is called the farce of global warming. I mean, the Earth has changed forms many times, and yes,
Definitely.
we do have an impact on our Earth. I mean, I'm not going to say that we don't,
Definitely.
but it's just been a cycle, and this is what happens.
It's part of that, and then there was, definitely the CO2 emissions that have come
Right.
through, and scientists. There's an article that came out probably 2 weeks ago that said most scientists agree that now the effects of global warming are irreversible. We have to learn, and we have to learn quickly how to live within our means and how to
there's-
change.
I mean,
Yeah, how
seriously,
to deal.
global warming is a force.
It is a definite force,
Yeah.
and so
Or
with
farce.
farce, well, part of
I
it is
mean, there's a force.
it's a force
but
and
yeah.
a farce.
Right.
There's a fear about it. There's a fear
well,
farce.
it was like those who said, "Oh, global warming," and let me, okay, those who declared global warming also saw it as a way to tax people for their CO2 emissions. How's that?
Yeah, there you go.
Does that sound a little bit
That
better?
makes sense. That totally
Okay.
makes sense. So, but understanding that, as weather patterns are going to start changing, we have this thing that understands weather on this huge level. Is there not some way to tie into the federal infrastructure of this, sustainability that is going to be starting to be put down on grassroots levels? There's something there. And when I sit on the Downtown Master Plan Advisory Committee, and we've been going through the past year talking about how to plan out downtown, and the folks from Goody Clancy said, the NOAA is something it's a huge source that you guys have just potentially left untapped.
Not even using.
So that's one thing that we'll talk about.
Now, have you invited anybody from?
I haven't. I went to their. There's a museum actually in the
Right.
bottom of the federal building that's all about the National Climatic Weather Museum. It's the official one. And it's just this little tiny room. It's just kind
I
of.
didn't even know that.
It's interesting. It's on the same floor as the IRS. The IRS, you take a left out of the elevator, you go right to go to the museum. And it's Monday through Friday, and it is kind of by appointment only, but if you knock on the door, they'll let you in. So that was a fascinating thing. I'll probably get somebody from there to kind of talk about the history about that when that was stationed over in the Grove Arcade. And now it has the building there. And we'll just kind of see what happens with that. The air quality, the TVA, the water quality, the French Broad, localized energy, localized industry. Can we sustain ourselves off of wind power? Can we sustain ourselves off of, some other power that we don't have to, like you saw what happened with the terrible gas shortage that happened for the week in Asheville, where people were like, I heard of a woman outside of Green Life getting mugged for 2 gallons of gas that week. So, you know,
really?
that's just, that's the
Wow.
chaos.
Well, that's
Yeah.
gonna
The
be
chaos.
part of.
So we'll talk about how we
Yeah.
can localize ourselves and our energy and what we have available. Then we move into ethical capitalism. What that means, startup business opportunities, co-ops, mountain bizworks, then moving into local government, alternative currencies, whether that's bartering, whether that isn't an actual local currency like the Ithaca hours, and understanding things like dual power, which, you know, kind of puts us on more of a level of we are a sustained community versus something that just has to wait for government handouts. Then we move into government watchdog groups, Cop Watch, again back into independent reporting and indie media, medicinal marijuana and economic hemp, then drug policies, nonviolent crime policies, annexation rules and zonings, development policies, the downtown master plan, how to develop and maintain and manage downtown as it grows. We start ending up the whole forum series with the water issues, such as the Sullivan Acts between the city and the county, the I-26 connector, how that, you know, there's been a consistent level of Buncombe County versus Asheville City butting heads for generations. And how can we start talking about that? We have to understand, again, we're all on the same team here, people.
Right.
We're all in this together.
One affects all.
Exactly. Asheville City and Buncombe County have to coexist. So we'll talk about that a little bit and the frustrations that come out of that and the opportunities. Then we'll talk about the Chamber of Commerce, the Hub Project, Advantage West, things that are some of these bigger conglomerative organizations that are already pre-existing, how to plug into them. And then the very final one will be about instant runoff voting and campaign finance reform. And
that's right before the election.
and right
then.
before the election. So we'll see how the election's going, and that'll see if people are, you know, interested in actually, or a full-time mayor. That's the other thing we're going to put in there is like, we should have a full-time mayor. There's no reason why Asheville deserves a full-time mayor. You know, who, regardless of whoever it is, they need to be dedicating their full time to
Right.
Asheville. And so understanding that. So we'll talk about kind of the little nitty-gritty politics on the last one right before the election.
That sounds so fantastic.
It's gonna be
I mean,
cool.
you're really.
What a lot of work you've put into that.
It's been
And
about 2 years
research.
talking about it, but it's gonna be cool. I think it's gonna
that
be
is-
successful, hopefully.
That is wonderful. And I really do think you're going to be successful.
Let's hope so.
Yeah.
So, but that a lot of that came out of, you know, talking and connecting with people who had similar ideas, similar visions that they wanted to see accomplished.
But
working
I mean,
together.
that is a fantastic plan that you have.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
Thank you.
I don't think the word is inclusive.
Cohesive? No?
You include everything.
Yeah.
I mean, it's down to fine detail.
We're trying to. I mean, I'm really trying to like anything. There's a couple things that haven't gotten in there. Like, there's actually, this is the first draft. There's one, if you go to the jennybowen.com/calendar.html, or if you go to the Asheville Community Forum Series Facebook group, you'll see the second or third draft that I've put up there, which includes public libraries and access to education for people who choose not to go to school, you know, after high school or whatever. Allowing people to have access to education is just incredibly important no matter what. And the internet is a big way of that. Public libraries and also things like the free book exchange. That's another great avenue for self-education.
Oh wow, there's a free book exchange.
Down in the Riverside Arts District, there's a free book exchange, and it's great. They have internet there, they have couches, they have events.
So you just go in and hang out.
Yeah, pretty much. It's
And
just
it's
down there.
in the River Arts District. Are you still down where you used to be?
I had that studio space only for 3 months.
Oh, did you?
I only had it up until April 15th, and actually that can tie us back into the Faces of Asheville project, which is coming up out of the community forums. But on Monday, so John Payne owned the Wedge Gallery, and John Payne was a great innovator, great communitarian as far as understanding what it means to like have local arts accessible, affordable studios for people to create, because creative people tend to create more than they consume. And that's an important philosophy to kind of take on here in this next era. And so in that,
That's interesting. I like that.
that was actually, I stole that from Kitty Love, so I'll give her props for that. But so anyways, he had a stroke a couple years ago, and in his stroke, he
Oh, is that your booby?
you're ringing. So after he
I'm not gonna say.
It's the aliens.
Maybe if that young lady had music playing at the same time, they wouldn't have kicked her out.
Maybe not.
But so John owned the Wedge Gallery and that building, and he bought that as trying to give artists an affordable space to create. And after his stroke, he couldn't really write as well, so he never got to write his letter to me. So we would have conversations because he was right next door while I was taking all these photographs, and he would talk to me about his ideas and his vision for Asheville. And I didn't really take it to heart at the time. I was like, okay, we're having these great ideas, but I've got another appointment coming and all that. And so I've had to really sit down and meditate and draw back up those conversations, what he said.
That you had with him.
Because on April 15th, or it was April 19th, because it was the last day I was in the studio, I took a picture of Robin Cape and her daughter, Lucy Ballantyne. And then John came up and said, okay, is it time for my portrait now? And I was like, well, it'll be the last portrait. And he's like, the last portrait ever taken. And I was like, that's right. And it was his last portrait.
Oh, wow.
He died in, I think it was July, early July, or was it late June? Something to that extent. He passed on not too long after that.
After the stroke.
But he told me in his portrait that it's a portrait he wanted his whole life. And he finally was getting it, and he was excited about that. And he wanted to be floating on this black background, because everybody has a black background. Wow. So he wanted to be floating in a sleeping, nude position where he's curled up like this, and his hair's just like, tuffed out, like he's just in the abyss of the universe.
Whoa, boy.
So we took this portrait, and then I immediately dismantled the studio after that. So it was the last portrait that I took, and I felt like it was so fitting. It was such a great final portrait, and then John passed on.
Wow.
And I was just like, wow, this holds so much significance now to me. This this is the bookend. This is where it stops and starts all together. It's like this peacefulness about understanding the flow and life and how things change, and you have to be willing to give up your power and know when to take it at the same time. So in all of that, John taught me many lessons and gave me much to chew on. And at this exhibit, his last portrait and the last portrait will be presented to his fiancée, Gwen Roberts. And so she'll be able to speak a few minutes on his memory and on his behalf.
Cool.
But I mean, he had a really creative vision of Asheville, and it's kind of a driving force of this project. So
That is so fantastic. We are getting down to
sorry, thank you so much.
Thank you for coming.
Wow,
I mean,
talk.
it's been. Hey man, so can we. So can we.
Yeah.
So whenever. Whoa, sorry, I keep
It's
kicking
okay.
her.
You're not
It's
hurting.
like whenever you want to come back again.
Thank you, my dears.
I mean, let's try to do it within at least 6 months.
Yeah. It's been almost a year, but there's been a lot happening.
Well, and
A lot of good
yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
And then we can update everybody how the forums are going.
Yeah,
and,
definitely.
and
Yeah.
keep that out there so people realize.
We're trying to find actually an avenue of recording these forums somehow and playing them back later on television so people can see.
Oh wow.
You hear that, Christopher?
We're trying to find somebody.
I mean, being that I live 40 miles, that's the hard part.
That's a hard part for you. We'll talk after this.
Oh, but there again,
But you're going to be busy
like
being
on
mayor.
Fridays and stuff.
Well,
That's
that'll be
something
before he's the
that-
mayor. So
Yeah.
that'll be before.
Yeah, our Roland should soon be about ready to you keep an eye on that.
You got 5 minutes.
5
No, I'll
minutes.
tell you
Okay.
that. Well, no, because it runs like a couple of minutes. Well, anyhow, all right, whatever.
He thinks he knows what he's
Yeah.
doing, so we'll trust
Yeah.
him.
Well, we have the I Ching show
Okay.
after this.
Okay.
So you are welcome to come or to just stay if you want.
Maybe I'm gonna talk to Chris for a second, and then I'm gonna be back on tomorrow night with John Robinson
Oh, cool.
with the
good.
Pleasure Saucer.
Are you? Way
so-
cool.
Yeah, and then Matt
Getting
Howard
it out
had
there.
me on last week. So
Whoa, you're popular.
Yeah.
I know everybody in
Whoa.
Asheville thanks to this project. Not everybody, but definitely has
Just
connected
showing
me.
that I haven't.
I have connected with a
But
lot of
it's
folks.
important.
It is.
And what you're doing is
And I have-
even more important than that.
Yeah, I mean, altruism's a weird thing, you know. I do have altruistic, benevolent tendencies to want to really do good in this world because I feel like that's my purpose on this planet.
Me too.
But at the same time, you know, I get something out of it and that I make a lot of good friends.
Service is good for the soul.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to be happy, that's, you know, and what you're doing is fantastic.
Thank you.
I mean, there has to be a leader. I'm glad to see you in the position.
Thanks. Well, we'll see. I mean, right now I'm just a citizen. I'm not
But
really
you're
a leader.
setting the example.
Yeah, hopefully.
Leaders set examples.
So hopefully it'll raise the bar for some people to really
Just come
Well, it's a
forward and to
challenge.
make a difference with
It's
you.
it's a
Yeah.
challenge. Yeah, there be Grandpa Carl fishing. He's behind you.
So yeah, Monday 7 to 10 p.m. at the Orange Peel. Come on out. It's a suggested $15 community donation, but on the night of the event, it's donate whatever you can. If you've only got a few nickels and you live on the street, donate your nickels and come on in.
Cool.
Enjoy it, because it's about community celebration, so nobody gets turned away.
Oh,
Cool.
wonderful.
That is fantastic. I'll see you on Monday.
Great.
I'm going to be there, and I'm bringing at least one guest.
Awesome.
Or shall I say she's bringing me. Beth Sheba.
Okay.
She's coming in. She has Rainwaters Gallery. And she was calling people in Asheville to see if she can rally up even more.
Awesome.
So,
Wonderful.
yeah,
It's going to be cool. It's going to be
yeah.
a really great experience.
Yeah.
And this is the final fundraiser. We're raising money for the archival quality prints that need to be printed for the final exhibit. So basically, we're just raising money for the final exhibit in June, and then these prints and all the research will go into the city archives at the special collections
City
at UNCA.
Cool.
Wonderful.
You know what? Hey, people.
Thank you.
It has been fun. Thanks to Jenny and Sharon. Shannon, don't forget Shamrock.
So
hey,
nice
man.
to meet you.
Thank
We'll
you.
catch you next week.
And I'm sure I'll be seeing a lot
Bye.
more of you.
I hope so.
How are you, Asheville people? How are you, beautiful Asheville people? How are you? How are you beautiful world people? How are you doing out there? Just now, I'm sorry, I forgot to name the guest. Jenny Bowen.
Jenny Bowen.
She had just told me how on the Age of Aquarius song, it says in there at the beginning, when the moon is in the 7th house and Jupiter aligns with Mars. She was told us how that actually happens tomorrow. So that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, that is. That
Weird
is real
coincidence.
interesting. Christopher, could you hand us the phone number? I think it's still on the table, maybe.
Yes,
Yes. Thank you. Thanks, Christopher.
Yes. So, this is the I Ching part of the show. And if you're interested in getting a free I Ching reading,
This camera here.
no, because these switches down.
Oh,
So
okay.
getting a free I Ching reading, you can call this number right here, area code 828-505-2806. For some reason I had like a little mental block there on the phone number.
Yeah, and if you're going to call, if you would like a reading, if you call at the beginning of the show, sometimes we can go ahead and finish the reading for that show. But if you call toward the end of the show, then we'll have to do it as we have in the past at the next show, which would be next Friday.
Yes.
So if you could call, if you have something, we'd love to hear from you, and we'd love to help you with any question you have.
Yes. So, what was it now? I thought there was something. Oh, yeah. Little, not so much correction, but a little bit more completing a statement. My microphone. Yeah. Was last week I had mentioned the fact I said we were talking with a good friend, Christopher in Swannanoa. By the way, Christopher, I looked at the OAKES and I couldn't get any info on it. It's like, whatever that little website I went to, I'm not finding it, but it's probably the same area. I'll just
Same area, which would be
Wales and
Wales
England.
and England. Yeah.
And as I told him then, I said, so you're a Celt as well. And I said, legally, we're all Americans, but genetically, we're different things, and that's a good thing. That's what I meant to say. It's a good thing to have all these different
I
things.
think we have a call.
Yes, I think we do.
Hello, hear me?
Yes. Hey, Christopher.
Yeah. I got a team question.
Oh.
Okay.
Man, I applied for seven jobs this week, application-wise.
Oh.
And what did the IT say about me? I was getting a call back from one of them.
You how many jobs?
About 5 or 6 jobs I applied for this week.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see if we can figure out how to word this.
Okay, we're going to figure out how to word it. What are the chances of Christopher being called back
On one of those applications.
on one of the? Did you actually go in for interviews or did you do applications?
Applications.
Okay.
Applications.
What are the chances of Christopher being called back for an interview?
I suppose.
Yeah,
Unless you can think of a better way of putting it, Christopher, can you?
Is that what you want us to ask Christopher?
Right.
Okay. Okay.
Let's go ahead and write that out.
Christopher.
I was thinking, what are the chances of Christopher being called in for one of those 7
Yeah.
I can tell.
applications?
Okay.
Yes, thank you for calling. So, Christopher getting
Called back.
in. Well, called in
Okay.
for an interview
Or job opportunity.
for
Okay. The applications.
one or more of the 7 applications he recently filled out.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. What are the chances of Christopher getting called in for an interview for one or more of the 7 applications he recently filled out?
Yes.
Okay.
Yin yang ball's not straight, and that annoys me. So let's just get that back right. Yes. It's so hard. You see everything backwards when you see yourself on TV. All right. Let's think about that question for a moment.
Do you have your pen?
Yes, right there.
Okay. Oh, right in front of me?
Yeah, usually I have to get them out of the bag.
I should be a more observant assistant.
Oh, it's the first time.
Okay. I was looking for the bag, actually.
Very good, very good. All right. I don't know how good a shot that one cam's going to get,
Okay.
so maybe I should put it there. Best
Okay.
chance, perhaps.
All right.
What are the chances of Christopher getting called in for an interview for one or more of the 7 applications he recently filled out? What are the chances of Christopher getting called in for an interview for one of the or more of those 7 applications he recently filled out? So what do you think, apprentice?
You go ahead and say.
And that's a yang.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, we have a moving line.
Yes.
It's like all the lines are moving anymore.
Uh-huh.
No matter what we ask.
So it was a yang,
whoever.
but it was a moving line.
So we're going to get a second hexagram. What do you think?
It's a yang?
Yin.
1, 3, okay, 18.
But it's firm yin.
It's a firm yin, okay.
It's not moving anywhere. It's not going anywhere.
I'm really having a hard time seeing them at this angle, so.
Well, with those new dice, which should come in by the next episode, I think we'll solve a lot of that problem right there.
Yes.
Let's say yin.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, yin.
Yeah.
It's a firm yin.
Firm yin.
It's not moving.
Okay. So just the first line's been moving so far.
Yes.
That's another firm yin.
Might be a firm yang.
Oh, yes, yang. But it's not moving.
It's not moving. It's firm.
Okay. Okay.
Well, actually, yeah, it's firm.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be glad when we get these other dice because
I know.
It's gonna be a
When you
lot.
look at them at different angles, you have to really get on it. That's why we're getting so close to the board when we're. Yin.
yes, very good.
And it's not moving.
Not
You'll
moving.
see, for some reason, when you threw them that time, I could see them at this angle. They just were in my
Is
visual.
glare?
Yeah,
Kinda
there's a
helping
glare.
there, kind of going on there as well.
Yep.
Because I'm seeing a little bit of the glare myself.
Okay, and this is our last roll. That's definitely.
Well, a yang, but it's a
a
moving,
moving yang.
Yes.
Yep. So we had the first roll was a moving, and the last roll was a moving line.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Bottom line and top line. And I'll go ahead and write out the second hexagram, what it's going to be.
Okay.
The future. All the lines are the same except for the 2 moving lines. They change in the future. So I'll go ahead and here they are. I don't know, maybe you can get that.
I don't know if they can get that. No, there.
Where are we here?
Can't tell.
Yes. See, the second one is all the same, but just those 2 lines with the dot next to it changed.
And that's what we mean by changing lines.
Yes. Or moving line, they're often called that. Moving line. So the first one, for the present, that's the present.
Right.
That is thunder under fire.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Thunder under fire is 21. I'll go ahead and decode the next one while I'm at it.
Okay.
That is earth under thunder.
Earth under thunder.
Earth. Where are we? Let's be here then. Earth under thunder, and that's 16.
Low numbers, both of them.
What's that?
Low numbers, kind of, both of them. Usually they seem to be higher than that.
Oh, yeah. Well, I Ching, that could be all over.
Right. That's right.
Okay, so the first one is 21. This is the present.
Okay, this is the present. And we asked, what are the chances in the next week, did we?
No, we didn't say anything.
We didn't give it a time. We just said, what are the chances?
What are the chances of Christopher getting called in for an interview for one or more of the 7 applications he recently filled out?
Okay, so the first answer is going to be present.
Yeah, the present.
Present. Okay.
And that's hexagram number 21, which means biting through.
Biting through. Uh-huh. Okay.
I guess. We could do that, yeah. Fortune. Things will not go as you hope. Many difficulties. You must take positive action. Passivity, as in just being passive, not doing anything, will mean failure along the way. If you go forward with courage, you can reach your destination without a doubt. There is a possibility that you will quarrel or get into a dispute with someone. The best thing to do is to handle the matter personally. Do not rely on others. There's also the possibility that someone may speak ill of you, or that you will be harmed in some way because of a woman.
Okay, that's...
When it comes to employment, right now, employment is difficult. Success will come only if you seek employment positively.
Ah,
So I'm thinking it's telling him to have a positive attitude about it.
yes. Have a very positive attitude about it. And the fact that it says success will come only if you seek employment positively might mean, Christopher, that if you don't get called on these 7 applications, to keep going. Don't give up. Be very positive that this is not the end.
Well, I'd say definitely anyway to be positive right now.
Right, yeah, right at the moment. Be positive that they're going to call you back. Think very
Positive
positively.
attitude.
Yeah, positive attitude. And even if it's not the one that was your first choice, that you get called back on, be positive.
Yes. Well, in this economy, I guess he's going to have to take
Yeah,
whatever he can
that's
get.
true.
Bottom line, changing is, since this is only your first departure from the right path, only a mild punishment is forthcoming. This should serve the purpose of early reform.
Okay.
And number 6, line moving, means a person who cannot recognize his own wrongdoings will drift farther and farther from the path. A person who is no longer on the path cannot understand the warnings of others. The original text states, there will be evil.
Okay. How would you?
Sheesh.
I'm not
This
sure.
could be interpreted in a number of ways.
Yeah, that could be interpreted. Maybe Christopher would be able to interpret that.
Yeah, because he's the subject of this reading, so he knows what's going on in his life and stuff like that. And in the future, it leads to
Okay, now this is the future.
hexagram number 16. Which means enthusiasm.
Ah.
That's the
Enthusiasm.
future. And it says it's called you, pronounced you, the Chinese name for it. You means beforehand and connotes such ideas as premonition, to know beforehand, and preparation. The upper trigram is Chen, representing thunder, and the lower trigram is Kun, or earth. After the spring thunder appears on earth, the sun will shine down on all things. The trees, flowers, and grasses will be given life, and they will sprout and grow. The appearance is happy and cheerful. For mankind too it is the time to prepare for new work, new actions.
New work. This is future.
Yes. In divining, it means the coming of joy and cheer. But one must make careful preparations in advance and proceed with caution, never relaxing.
Okay.
In this way, good fortune will be maintained. Otherwise, calamity will strike.
So now personally, I'm seeing when you read that for the future, I think again what the I Ching might be saying is be positive. If you don't get called back on these, keep going forward. If you get frustrated and just figure that there's no jobs out there because you didn't call on the ones that you recently applied for, you're going to fail.
I'm kind of seeing it that way as
Yeah.
well. It's saying to be enthusiastic. So
Yes, be enthusiastic too.
to me, it's like telling you, I'm thinking it's taken in one or two ways. It's telling him to be enthusiastic because it knows a job is coming up, something like that. Or him having a positive attitude is going to make the difference between getting a job and not getting it.
And that
Like,
might,
If
yeah.
he's negative, if he's negative in front of some prospective employer, maybe, or
Yeah.
something.
And if you do get called in for an interview, then I would be very enthusiastic about it.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
be very positive, upbeat, cheerful.
Yeah.
That's what I would do in this
think we
particular
have another
situation.
Okay.
Thanks for that call, Christopher.
Yes.
Good evening.
And I hope that helped
Hello.
you. Hello?
Huh?
Oh, okay. Okay, the
Yes.
lines are open.
Line is open. Where is it? Here it is. And you can call this number here, area code 828-505-2806, and you can get a free I Ching reading. Keep in mind, people, this is probably, more likely, the oldest divination or fortune telling in history, right here. A lot of the Chinese to this day swear by this, and they go by it. And I can tell you, we, the I Ching people, we swear by this and we go by it. So far, I have never seen it be wrong about anything. That's how good this is.
Yeah, Aaron.
And
Just want to say happy Valentine's Day to them.
even,
Bye.
I think I'm
Wait a
hearing
minute,
Aaron.
we hear Aaron.
Hey, Aaron.
Hey,
Aaron, happy
Hey.
Valentine's Day.
thank you. You too. I just want to say happy Valentine's Day and stuff. So.
What'd you say?
You just wanted to say happy Valentine's Day and stuff. You know what,
Yes.
Aaron? I'm glad you called because there's just something missing here without you.
Yeah,
Yes.
I wanted to be there too, but I've been watching the show.
Good,
It's nice.
good.
Like the background's cool and. You know.
Really?
Well,
Thank you.
well, hopefully you'll be able to have a monthly appearance with us.
Yeah, I will.
Good,
Great. Great.
good.
Probably a
We'll
week.
look forward to that in about a week.
Yep, in about a week, so hopefully be there.
Oh, wonderful.
Great.
Yep.
Belly dancing is next week.
Yes.
Oh, well, there's some incentives for you right there.
All right. All right. Thank you. Hey, happy Valentine's Day. Bye.
Bye.
Happy Valentine's Day. Bye. Yeah, people, here's the number to call. He's our intern. He comes in here occasionally, like maybe once a month or so.
He said, complete delight.
He is really, seriously, I will go on record. I'm not being nice. I'm being serious. He is really a good intern. I mean, when he's around, your job is a lot easier. Because before I come out, I'm in the control room, Brother Christopher and we're like running stuff and all. And it can be done alone. I have done it, but it is pretty strained. It's a lot easier when it's two people. And when he comes along, it really is helpful. And he's, you think he did it his whole life. That's how good he
Yeah.
is at it.
Yep.
So anyway, it's area code 828-505-2806. And you
Yeah.
can have a free I Ching reading.
Oh,
Yes.
put it down on the box. Lay it down. Yeah, lay it down in the box like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
How's that?
Okay.
Hang on. I'll move it.
5. Okay. 505-2806. And if you can't think of one right now, or you're trying to figure out how to word it,
You
call-
can't ask a yes or no question.
right? You can't ask a yes or no question, or
And you can't ask an either or question.
either or. So think of it this week. Think of it and put it in a question form for us. That makes it a little easier when you call if you already have it in a question form for us, and then we know exactly what you're asking, because sometimes we're kind of guessing what, or putting the words together to ask your question for you.
Yes, and keep in mind.
Yes.
Oh.
What's life going to be like with Chet?
CHETT.
Yes.
It's 1T?
Yes.
Okay, how do we want to word this?
What is that? How you want us to word it? What's life going to be like when Chet gets here? Comes to live with you.
What decisions should I make
Okay.
when Chet comes? What decisions do I need to consider when Chet
Okay. What?
Oh, you want?
Yeah. What decisions do I need to consider?
I need.
To consider
And we'll still take callers if anybody wants to call in too.
when Chet comes. Well, how much time do we have, Lisa?
We only have about 8 minutes or 7, 8 minutes, I think.
Okay.
But we can still take questions for next week's show.
Sure. Okay. 7 minutes.
CHET.
Comes.
When Chet
Comes to live.
moves here.
Yeah, when Chet moves here. How's that?
He's going to be here in like 2 weeks.
Okay.
Moves
Here.
here.
We'll be on the show in 3.
Okay.
Oh, great.
Okay.
Could be a lot of decisions in there.
Yeah. We'll go as far as we can as time allows.
Yes.
If anybody wants to call, we can take more questions.
Sure.
Yeah. What decisions? Well, I'm speaking as if I'm Lisa.
Uh-huh.
What decisions? Lisa is asking, what decisions do I need to consider when Chet moves here?
Yes. It's not
Is it
moving.
yin?
It's a yin. It's not moving.
Yes,
Okay.
that's firm yin.
First one was a firm yin. That was roll number 1.
I'm liking the effect up there. See us and the board.
Okay.
Get this out of the way. That moving yang line.
Yeah, moving line. Next one was a moving line. Yin.
Very good.
For some reason, right now I'm seeing them a little bit better. Maybe you angled the box a little different.
Oh, maybe.
Excuse it. Yang. No, I'm sorry, yin.
Very good, my young apprentice. Powerful Sith lady.
You always want to make the boss happy, right?
Yes. Powerful Sith lady you will become.
Yang.
Very good.
So far, we've had one moving line.
And what would you say that is?
I would say that's a yin.
Very good.
So we only had one moving line.
Now,
Okay.
I can see the answer is, all water. Sheesh.
We had, okay.
All water.
All water?
Yes.
How do you know that? Just from doing it?
Water and water.
Oh, okay. I see.
So it's
Time word
water
in two.
over water, water under water. So it's whenever you get that, it's just all whatever.
Uh-huh.
There's an all fire one. Hexagram number 29. That's what that is right now.
Hexagram number 29.
And the future one.
Okay, we have the future one. Should be.
And that's going to be Earth underwater.
Earth underwater?
Yeah. Earth underwater. It'll be 8.
Number 8, okay. Hexagram number 8.
There's the hexagrams, people, students, my good
Right in
A
the
plus
box.
students. That's the present right now. Hexagram number 29. And that means the abysmal water.
Okay.
And the fortune is, many, hate to be a bearer of bad news, so far it's not so good. Many hardships and difficulties. You must have firm convictions and not fear trouble. The only thing to do is wait for your luck to change. You cannot advance and you cannot retreat. You will perhaps be disquieted in body and soul, not being able to dwell in ease. Drifting about, you may encounter robbery, be cheated, take sick, or become injured. Sheesh. Okay. I don't know if this could be family or moving.
Oh, okay. Could
Could be
yeah.
applicable either way.
Yeah.
I'll just go ahead and read both. Family, many troubles, you must bear them with patience. There may be a turn for the better. The possibility also exists that family will split up because of disharmony.
We're just going to keep talking until we're
Until
off.
we run out.
Till we run out. We will see you next week.
Yes. I think there's a moving in here. Yes, there is. There's moving. Come on, moving. Travel. Should not travel. You encounter trouble if you do. But keep in mind, we haven't got to the future one yet. We're getting
Right.
That could be great.
This could mean there's trouble on the end with him coming.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that very well could mean that.
New business, change of occupation or specialization, and moving. Adversity. Wait for a better moment.
Wait for a better moment, it's saying, for the present.
It's acting like it's talking as if, the I Ching's talking as if this is like bad timing. By the way,
Start another big riot. You blow a fuse, sing down comes loose, sing so what's the use?
Sustainability, green, arts, mountains, trees, local co-ops, local businesses, healthy organic food, alternative health care, the healing, the spirituality, all of these things, diversity, what that means, disenfranchisement, dismemberment of community, and putting it back together. So, what we've done is we developed 33 forums. Not forums, really, they're more discussions. We're calling them the ABCs of Asheville. ABCs of Asheville, and what that means is assembling ideas, building our future, and connecting communities. So if you look at this series, it starts in March and it goes all the way through October. It's every other Friday and Sunday, alternating between Rosetta's Kitchen and Firestorm Cafe downtown, who are very kind enough to sponsor these with hosting them at their spaces. We're going to talk about everything. We're going to bring it all out. We're going to speak our minds, and we're going to connect. We're going to connect to other people who are interested in the similar things that we are. We're going to take action in our community. We're going to find the things that we want to do, and we're going to find somebody who will help us do them. Nothing is outside of our dreams. We're coming into an exponential change in this world. We're already in it. We see how fast life goes by every day. We have to take the time to reflect. We have to take the time to connect. We have to take the time to think, to innovate, to breathe, and to make goals, and to set dreams, and set forth agendas that we can accomplish by coming together. Change happens on the local level. Change happens here. It happens with each one of us deciding that if there's something we don't like, or there's something that we want to do, or if we have a dream, by gosh darn it, we're going to do it. And we have the opportunity to make Asheville a city that others will talk about all over the world, as far as people coming together who are able to express that most sacred right that we have, which is the freedom of choice and expression, and come together as a community to do something for the good of us all. So I highly suggest that you consider my words, and you consider my actions and what I've attempted to do by bringing us all together, and help other people hear about these forums as well. There's a website that will always be updated with new information, who will be coming to them, who will be presenting at them, how to connect with other people at AshevilleABC.com. So I think that this is a good chance, people. It's a good chance for us to actually take some ownership, because politics, by the way, is just taking ownership of your environment. And we is the most important word in politics. So,